Well, welcome to our first instances of how it is. Our introductions, basically, to how it is and how we're going to be telling it how it is. I do not have my partner Dave with me currently at the moment to help me tell it how it is and discuss certain topics. Yes, we get very controversial and we're capable of really getting set in your bones. So be ready for what we are going to talk about. But today I'm just going to raise a big issue, and it's about violence in the world, and and how people are using social media outlets as a gateway to cause and attract more violence by using certain social media applications and direct messaging to get the word out to express certain things towards other groups of people. But we're not focused on that. We're focused on the fact that these instances of violence are happening across the world. And it doesn't matter who it's happening to. It's just violence. And it shouldn't be happening. Because if you can't be peaceful and you can't teach yourself how to be peaceful, it means that you're looking at life with dark intent. You've dark thoughts constantly. There's no depiction of peacefulness in your mind because you're not calm. It's emotions, or lack of emotions even. But emotions can lead to violence, and so can lack of emotions. The fact that you don't fear or you have a lack of empathy towards a certain situation will cause other people to be either emotionally violent or just take it upon themselves to pick a topic and say, look, pick out an opinion and say, no, I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with that to the extent that I am going to cause violence. And that's what it is. So it's nothing to do with any sort of groups of people. And do you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat this because people are bringing up racism and ethnicity in a different light because they're bringing up racism. I don't even, and Dave will agree with me because it was actually Dave that said it to me, that he doesn't agree with the term racism. The fact being is that it's ethnic diversity, and it's on a spectrum of where people don't understand different sets of ethnic groups because they were never grown up or they never grew up around those sets of people. They never grew up in those traditions. Everybody has different traditions. It's a cultural divide that people need to understand. People have different cultures. People have different traditions, and people have different ways of thinking. So people see things from different perspectives, and not all the time is it going to be a perfect outlook because we're not living in a perfect world, and it's almost emotionless at how people are viewing these topics because they're viewing it to an extent where it's only one set of group that these rules should apply for. No, it's all types of people that rules should apply for, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you come from. That makes no difference. What we need to focus on is how are we going to get rid of violence, and how are we going to, because you're all thinking of it on a separatist's mindset. No, there's no, because globalization has come into an ultimate collapse, and using information technology as a gateway to destroy and undermine other people's paths in life is one way to really cause a divide. And that's the thing, because the world is divided and it will constantly be divided, but it's to understand the barriers of those divides and where that division comes in. So how how can we actually just have these divisions in the world, but be able to cross over in between them and understand each other's cultures and traditions, because people don't understand each other, and people are living in the past. Like, I mean, people are living in ancient times. The world should be moving on from that into a civilization where we become a union as a whole, regardless of our cultural traditions, because it's not that one group is, you know, is particularly has a privilege or has these things over other people. Everybody has their own types of privileges that their own places give to them. So that's why I don't agree with any of it, really. I think it's all stupid, and you have to really be thinking of it on a socialist's mindset, where everybody is living in this world. Everybody has a life to live in this world, and not everybody is thinking, maliciously about how they live their lives. There has to be a level of common courtesy and respect throughout the world, throughout everybody, and there's only one way to do that, and that's if we can start to understand each other's traditions. But until then, there will constantly be a division, and not only a division where we see things differently, but a division where we can't communicate with each other. And that's the divide. That's the real divide. It's a lack of communication between different groups, different cultures and traditions. We have a lack of understanding because everybody is ignorant to everybody else's traditions and cultures without meaning to be. It's just not everybody can know everything all at once. So if you've been brought up learning your own history, your own traditions, and you take it upon yourself to look at it in a perspective where it becomes violent or has a poor reflection in your mind, then how can you be able to sustain your own life, a way of living? Why does it have to come to, certain people should be removed? Yes, certain people should be removed from society, but that's only because they are psychopaths or sociopaths, which have little to no empathy about the rest of everybody else. And all it takes is one person to divide 100 people, and that's it. There's nothing else. One voice can cause an amazing stir, and until people start to realise that we all need to swallow our pride, and we all need to feel pain and hardships throughout the world, and if we have, and we should do it together. Share the load. Why should we have to worry about walking down the road of or walking through a town or walking into a store and be looked at? Okay, people can be looked at differently, but I mean to a degree where there's hate, where there's hate in people's hearts, and there's hate in people's souls about other people, just because of some other psychopaths committed, crimes that were committed, atrocities that were committed by people who had assimilated other people's minds, vulnerable people. Because think about it like this: somebody that is more intelligent than the average person, and the average person can be, you can understand certain things, but sometimes a more intelligent person, and not all the time is somebody, intellectually intelligent, they can be emotionally intelligent, where they're able to decipher how they can control and manipulate people's behaviours. And yes, then they are probably intellectually intelligent on top of that. So with that comes creativity, and showing really that it's nothing to do with a set of people. It's to do with certain types of people, archetypes of who people are, right? And their personality traits and how they were born, really, or what kind of molded them into a crimson, cast of evil. So, to be showing people's histories, people have to understand where everybody was at certain times, and not all the time is there documented evidence of people's histories. Just because some people have so-called documented evidence doesn't mean that other evidence wasn't destroyed or lost along the way. And that's just how it is. Violence is caused by more violence, and social media and information technology is being used as a way to propagate this violence across the world, and it's instilling it into people's minds. So think of how Hitler used propaganda, right, to assimilate the minds of the young. Put the information into them while they are young, and they will not be able to unlearn that information. That will be set inside of their bodies. So everybody should watch nothing on TV, in my opinion, because television is a part of information technology. Not all of it is bad, I agree, and there is documentaries, but there's also biases across the whole world. It doesn't matter who you are, what nation you come from. Nations, especially Republicans within their nations, and there's Republicans everywhere, that they can cause biases. And then there's on the fencers, which will slip from one bias to another because they're finding out new information all the time and they're still confused. So it's a mass confusion of human mind. And in order for people to really understand themselves, you need to understand yourself and educate yourself about other people's histories. But we need to start getting away from the past and look towards the future. Build now for what is going to be in the future. Because if you don't change it in the right way, it will never change. And that's how it is. Now I'm finished.